October 24th, 2016, and I call to order this meeting of the Goose Creek CISD Board of Trustees. Before proceeding with tonight's agenda, I would like to remind everyone in attendance that this meeting is being recorded through audio and video technologies. Also at this time, I ask that everyone silence or turn off your electronic devices. Thank you very much. Ms. Woods, was this meeting properly posted?
Yes.
And do we have a quorum?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Dr. Duarte, you can continue with opening exercises.
President Richard, school board members, Mr. O'Brien. The opening exercises for the October 24th, 2016 board meeting will be presented by students from Lamar Elementary School. We will begin the opening ceremonies with the prayer led by Gigi Cockrell. Everyone please rise.
Heavenly Father, we ask your blessing on us tonight as we meet to make decisions affecting our school children. We thank you for the talents you bestow on each of us and ask for wisdom during our deliberations. We pray for safe travels for all here tonight and thank you for the children with us who will be presenting our opening exercises. Help us strive to give you glory in everything we do. In your name we pray. Amen.
The pledges will be led by Susie Perez and Beatriz Reina.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
The following students will present a skit in honor of Red Ribbon Week. They will also sing the songs Drug Free Me and I'm a Superhero. Students representing Lamar Elementary are Sofia Hernandez, Abigail Johns, Moises Perez, Susie Perez, Andrew Pesina, Beatriz Reina, Joaquin Reina, Mariah True, Ana Valerio, and Kaylee Yepes. The students are under the direction of Laura Garcia and Principal Cami Hale and Assistant Principal Maria Rosas Gonzalez.
Did you hear that Red Ribbon Week is this week?
No, what is Red Ribbon Week?
It's a week we celebrate saying no to drugs and alcohol. We learned that it's bad for us and to just say no.
I don't think drugs and alcohol are that bad. I mean, I heard my older sister and her friends saying that drugs and alcohol are cool.
Really? Well, maybe they aren't that bad to do. Maybe we should try it and find out. Let's try drugs.
Okay.
Wait a minute there. Stop this conversation now. Who are you all?
We are the superheroes from Lamar Elementary, and we heard you say you want to try drugs.
Drugs and alcohol are bad for you. Stay away. How do you know for sure?
Look at us. We're superheroes for a reason.
When you look at me, what do you see? A drug-free me. When you look at me, what do you see? A drug-free me. When you look at me, what do you see?
Wow, I want to be drug-free and a superhero forever, too.
Me too. Yay! Join the club.
We have your capes and masks ready for you, but only if you say no to drugs and alcohol.
We do. We do. We do. We are drug-free superheroes at Lamar Elementary. Thank you.
Thank you much, boys and girls. We do appreciate you taking time out from your homework to come entertain us tonight. Parents, if you are a parent of one of these students, would you please stand and be recognized? Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Ms. Garcia. Thank you. Best one.
The Baytown Highlands community has provided over $240,000 in local scholarships to the class of 2016. We would like to show our appreciation by recognizing these donors and organizations for their contributions and support. If you are a donor, and would you please stand and come to the front to be recognized? All of our donors.
You want to come for the photo? Sure.
This general direction, all right? I'm the back row, okay?
You probably should get it back there.
Thank you, donors. Our next order of business is our public hearing for School First for the fiscal year 2014-15, the Financial Integrity Rating System of Texas.
I would invite Margie Grimes to come up, provide that hearing for us.
Good evening, Board President, Trustees, Superintendent O'Brien, and guests. We're required to publish 2 notices in the newspaper and hold a public hearing on the district's Schools First Financial Integrity Rating, popular known as Schools First. I'm going to go through just a little bit of information. I want to just spend most of the time on the indicators. There's been some changes, so feel free to stop me if you have questions along the way. The primary purpose of the first rating is to achieve quality performance in the management of the school district's financial resources. I'm not going to read through every slide. You can read that for yourself. The objective of the first rating is to assess and evaluate the quality of financial management decisions and report those to the general public. This is some information about when we first began with the School First rating. I just wanted to point out that changes to the School First system were implemented by TEA in August of 2015 and are being phased in over 3 years. So some of the indicators this year are new, and the district's rating is based on a different set of criteria than you've seen in the past. Likewise, the rating system has changed. You can see here that there's a grades, A meaning superior, B above standard, C meets standard, and F is substandard achievement, and then the scores that are needed to be ranked in each of these categories. Also note that there's 15 indicators, but all of the questions 1 through 5 must be answered with a yes to pass. Also, the other indicators, the 2015-16 rating is based on data from last year, from 14-15. Well, actually, the prior year, because we're in a new year even. So, but this is all based on 14-15 data. Okay. So we're going to start with those. I'm going to try to be brief. I'm not going to read word for word what's on the slide. If you feel free to stop me if you have questions. The first indicator is basically, did the district file the annual audit with the TEA on time? And we did. Question 2A is, did we get a clean opinion on the audit? And we did. The answer is yes. Yes. 2B, were there any instances of material weaknesses in internal controls? And there were not. Number 3 is, did we pay all debt that's owed? And we did. Number 4 is regarding timely payments to various governmental agencies. You can see those listed there. TRS, Texas Workforce Commission, IRS, and other agencies, and we did. The answer to that is yes. And then number 5 is regarding unrestricted net assets being greater than 0, and yes, they are. We have about in excess of $79 million in unrestricted net assets. So we did answer yes to those first 5 indicators. The next indicators, next 10, will sum up and evaluate the score or the ranking for the district. Number 6, is cash and current investments in the general fund sufficient to cover 90 days of operating expenses? The answer to this is yes. We had 135, a little in excess of 100, or right about 135 days of cash on hand, which is greater than the 90-day threshold, and so we received the 10 points available for that. Number 7 is measuring our current asset to current liability ratio. With a threshold of 3.1, ours was 4.5 to 1, and so we achieved the 10 points available for that. Number 8 measures the ratio of long-term debt to total assets. And this is a basis for determining sufficiency to support long-term solvency. You can see on this that the district received 6 out of 10 possible points. This question is like asking someone, because this gets complicated, but I'm trying to simplify it. It's like asking someone if their mortgage exceeds a certain % of the market value of your home. The district's long-term debt is 70% of its total assets. In this particular indicator, it would need to be 60% or less to receive the full points available. I will point out that there are other districts besides Goose Creek that did not receive the full points on this question. Also, I'd like to point out that although our debt is higher than the 60% threshold, we are highly rated in AA credit in our bond category, in our credit rating, by all agencies, including Moody's and Standard & Poor's. And with the permanent school fund guarantee, we are triple rated for all of our outstanding debt. So I did look up some other school districts. A lot of the school districts have debt that, I'd say it was over 100 that had debt that exceeded the 60%. Some of our neighboring communities, Clear Creek had 87.5%. That was Friendswood had 93%. So, you know, our 70 is we were just barely over the margin of receiving 8 points on this one. But I have a whole list here of our surrounding districts that like ourselves exceeded the 60% threshold. And like I said, it did not affect our credit rating whatsoever. And this is a new indicator that we haven't seen before. Okay. Number 9, did the school district's general fund revenue, is it greater than our expenditures? And you know that in our case it was not. Or did cash on hand equal to or exceed 60 days? And since we met the second of those criterion, we received the 10 points there. Number 10, this indicator asks about the school district's ability to make its debt, principal, and interest payments that will become due during the year. The district did not exceed or meet the target amount of 1.2 or 120%. Our ratio, rather, is 1.15 or 150%. We would have had or 115%, I'm sorry. We would have had 150% without including the bond transactions. We had a bond sale back in 14-15, and we had some refundings. It's a complex formula. However, the revenue from those transactions are not included as annual debt, and the expenditures are. So it was, you know, in a normal year, we have way more than 120% in our fund balance and in our current revenues to exceed this ratio. So this one I even plan to call TEA about. I think that's a little misleading. But nonetheless, we did receive 6 points there. And we were just also on the mark of receiving 8 points on this question as well. Number 11 was the school district's administrative cost ratio equal to or less than the threshold ratio. This indicator measures the percentage of the budget that we spend on administration. Our percentage is 8.77% compared to the threshold that they would like to see to get the maximum points of 8.55%. In 2014-15, you may recall we had a one-time severance payment. Without that payment included in our administrative expenses, our ratio, our percentage would have been 8.32%, which would have been lower than the 8.55, and we would have exceeded the maximum points on that as well. So going forward, I would expect some of these to both questions 10 and 11, I would expect us to receive the full points on those going forward. Okay, number 12, did the district not have a 15% decline in the student to staff ratio over 3 years? And our decline was .0323, which is less than the .15. So we received the maximum points there. Number 13 did the comparison of the public education information management system, PEIMS data, to like information in the school district's annual audit, result in a total variance of less than 3%, and our variance was definitely less than 3%. We received the points, the total points available there. Number 14, did the external independent auditor, basically number 14 is saying, was the audit free of any instances of material noncompliance for grants, contracts, laws, and related local, state, and federal funds? And yes, with all of these, we're in compliance. 15, did the school district not receive an adjusted repayment schedule for more than one fiscal year for an over-allocation of foundation school program funds? And yes, we did not receive an adjusted repayment schedule. We estimate and pay our foundation school payments. We are very, very close. Every year we're using less than $100,000, our estimate from what we're funded from the state. So those are the remaining questions. Our district scored 90 out of 100 possible points. We still maintained a superior rating. And to reiterate, I would say that a couple of the questions had one-time variances that I believe would go away going forward. I think that the district's total debt to assets is higher than the threshold, and like I said, there are a lot of other districts that have a higher than 60%. And like I said, it doesn't seem to impact our bond ratings. We have the highest rated ratings from all the agencies, and I think we're sitting in a good position. So I'll entertain any questions if you have any questions.
Staying with the precedent of a public hearing, we want to open up the floor to questions to the board members as well as the audience at this time.
Hearing no questions, Ms. Grimes, thank you very much for your report.
Great presentation. Thank you.
Okay. Now we move on to citizen participation. Ms. Garcia, do we have anyone signed up to speak? Having no one, we will now move to item number 6, approval of minutes, October 10th, 2016, regular board meeting.
Move for approval.
Second.
Back up 30 seconds. Mr. Poppy has joined us at 6:54 p.m. Thank you. Okay. Mr. Poppy, we're on item 6, approval of minutes of October 10th. We have a motion for Mr. Laredo, a second from Ms. Coffey to approve the October 10th meetings minutes as presented. Is there any discussion? No discussion. All in favor of approving the minutes, please indicate by raising your right hand. That motion carries 6 for, none against. 7-4. 7-4.
I think he has to abstain.
Yeah, Mr. Poppy should abstain.
Do we have an abstain?
I'll abstain. All right.
Okay.
That wasn't here for the motion.
Okay. 6 in the affirmative, 1 abstention. Moving on to item 7, discussion item, superintendent's report.
Yes, we have Dr. Duarte to present the Goose Creek CISD district and campus improvement plans this evening.
So we're here to give an overview on our district and campus improvement plans, and then later in the agenda we are requesting approval by the school board. We have our aligned improvement plan goals for the district and the campus. These have not changed from the previous year. So we look at student achievement, we looked at our curriculum, our third one looks at enhanced and dropout prevention efforts. Fourth is to maintain a safe, positive learning environment. Fifth is recruiting, developing, and retaining highly qualified personnel. Sixth, we will establish and maintain parental and community partnerships. And last focuses on technology, infrastructure, and tools, looking at student achievement. Our timeline is we do a comprehensive needs assessment towards the end of the year, and that will drive the development of our district and campus improvement plans. We align our common goals. We complete our district and campus improvement plans. They are reviewed, the district plan is reviewed and approved by our ILC. The campus plans are reviewed and approved by the campus ILT. The district improvement plan is reviewed then by program directors, and our campus improvement plans are reviewed by our area executive directors. They are submitted to the Board of Trustees for approval, and then we post those on our website. So what we'll do is we will just focus on a couple of the initiatives at the district level, and then we have asked each of our principals to give an initiative that they would like us to highlight for the board. So when we look at our district improvement plan, we have a large focus on our professional learning community process, and this is really a focus on supporting student academic success. The definition of a PLC is it is the most promising strategy for sustained, substantive school improvement, which is building the capacity of school personnel to function as a professional learning community. It is an ongoing process in which educators work collaboratively in recurring cycles of collective inquiry and action research to achieve better results of the students they serve. And these operate under the assumption that the key to improved learning for students is continuous job-embedded learning for educators. And so when we look at the district level, some of the things that we've done for this upcoming year is we conducted a hybrid PLC, and that allowed each campus to have a leadership team go through the training. Some of our board members were also able to participate in a couple sessions. We established our calendar for this year to allow for a PLC day every 6 weeks for teams to collaborate and plan. And we've trained our staff on building common formative assessments, kinder through 12th grade. Another initiative that we're focusing on this school year is implementing the Kurzweil program, and this supports instruction for students with disabilities. So this is a software that allows our students to take online assessments based on either their IEP or 504 plan. We've also implemented instructional rounds at selected campuses to provide feedback on an identified problem of practice, and you've got the campuses that have been selected for this year. We have Alamo, Austin, Banuelos, Clark, Crockett, and Highlands Junior School. And what an instructional round does is it is adult learning, which is the key to our professional growth. And so the best place for our learning to occur is in the classroom. And this is where we learn how to make the most meaningful and productive changes in our instructional practice. So it's a team process for observing, analyzing, and affecting teaching and learning in a real classroom with real teachers and real students. So really the focus on instructional rounds is to increase student achievement, strengthen instructional practices, and drive dialogue about teaching and learning. And the last one we'd like to focus on at the district level is enhancing the positive behavior and intervention support, or as we know it, PBIS initiative, to support students' individual academic and behavioral needs. And this is a process, really a culture that we adopt to organize evidence-based practices, to improve implementation of those practices, and to maximize academic and social behavior outcomes for students. And the focus is success for all students. Now, under the PBIS, we have conducted Behavior 101 trainings, and we've worked with campuses in developing their action plans. So each campus provided something that they would like me to share with the board as a highlight from their campus plan. So Goose Creek Memorial High School, one of their goals is to have 25% of their students complete 12 or more college hours prior to graduation. So their focus is looking at dual credit and advanced placement. Impact Early College High School has conducted what they call an 80% or higher challenge. And this is a challenge that was made to their 9th grade students. And if they earn an 80% or higher in all of their classes each 6 weeks, they earn a t-shirt, they participate in a pizza party, and they're eligible for all other incentives. And they started that last year with an Education Foundation grant, and they've expanded it this year to include some of their 10th grade. Lee High School is really focusing on walkthroughs to evaluate and monitor the following areas. They're looking at their Wicker strategies, which comes through AVID. They're looking at a common unit plan, so when they go through, they know exactly what's going on in those classrooms. Each administrator has been assigned content-specific PLCs that they'll participate in every week. They have opportunities that they're looking for students to respond and practice, so that student engagement. Differentiation. They want to see increased active student engagement, rigor of questioning, and aligning the questioning strategies to the standards. When we look at Sterling High School, they're implementing AVID school-wide to provide a well-balanced and appropriate curriculum. And one of the shifts that they made is they had one AVID elective teacher, and this year they have 4. And those 4 teachers are not just teaching AVID, but they are also a part of the core content area to help students incorporate the Wicker strategies. Peter E. Highland has a focus on college readiness for all students, and they're improving that awareness for students and parents. So this year, they're going to have a reality fair on the campus in spring. They're going to have a career fair at Peter E. Highland in conjunction with Lee College on November 8th, and they will be offering EDUC 1200 to students for college credit, and this will be their first year to offer that. Point is implementing what they call restorative circles for junior high students. So they have defined circle for us, which is a carefully constructed, intentional talking space. And so the circle process is rooted in structural elements that organize interaction for understanding, empowerment, and connection among those who participate. So it's providing students a safe area to build healthy relationships between students and the school. And this is a strategy that they're using to help students when they transition back to their home campus. Baytown Junior School has really worked with the professional learning community process, and a part of that is incorporating PLC binders, and this allows the teams to keep a binder with the products that those teams develop around the PLC questions. The teams meet weekly, and then we've got that one full day built into their calendar, and that's when they're able to collaborate and really focus on the essential questions, which is, what do our students need to learn? How do we know that they've learned it? If they haven't learned it, what are we going to do? And if they have learned it, how are we going to enrich those students? Cedar Bayou Junior School wanted to share the 5-day advisory that we're offering at our junior schools this year. And this is a time to advise students. It also provides a time for our English learner students to practice conversational and academic English. And these are intervention classes that are built into the school day to help those students that may be struggling or need some additional assistance. Gentry Junior School is continuing their focus on video instructional coaching, where teacher volunteers will have the opportunity to have their lesson videotaped, and they will be able to reflect on what they're seeing within their own classrooms. Highlands Junior School has a focus this year on writing, and that'll be at all grade levels, and they have a specific focus and monitoring piece for their special education and English learners. Horace Mann wanted to share their work on PBIS, which is focusing on creating a safe and positive culture, and they have an effort to reduce classroom discipline incidents. So they'll be looking at their data from the previous year and then the current year. Going into our elementaries, Alamo wants to focus on demonstrating college and career readiness on the campus by looking at student expectations. So their data will be their local assessments, and they also want to increase the students that are receiving advanced academic level on their STAR assessment. Asheville Smith has a school-wide reading initiative, and their focus is to bring 83% of all students up to or above district reading levels by the end of the year. Austin Elementary is focusing on independent reading across all genres with the emphasis on nonfiction, and they are encouraging the reading in the classroom and at home. And they are using for documentation reading logs, their AR points, and activities like Battle of the Books to encourage independent reading. Banuelos is focusing on professional development opportunities that they have aligned to board and campus goals, the data needs from their comprehensive needs assessment, including but not limited to academic vocabulary development, understanding and working with students from low SES backgrounds, positive behavior support, PLCs, technology, CRIS, Abydos, and sheltered instruction. Bowie has a focus on collaborating within their PLCs to evaluate student learning. They will be analyzing standards and creating plans based on relative data. So what they did was they adjusted their master schedule, and that allotted an hour conference period so that Tuesdays are planning days and then Thursdays are their PLC days. And their theme this year is One Team, One Dream. So collaborating together, they will impact student learning. Carver also wanted to focus on the PLC process and cross grade level meetings to study student data, plan coaching sessions, and plan instruction to ensure implementation of a rigorous curriculum, and this is pre-K through 5. Clark has a focus on attendance, and every grade level has a what they call prompt and present incentive for their students each 6 weeks, and each team has established their own goals. So they say prompt and present means that students are here when school starts at 7:45 and until it ends at 3:15. So some of their incentives have been popcorn parties, extra recess, and crazy socks. Crockett has really focused on PLCs this school year, and this is to share instructional strategies and to work together to meet the needs of all students. And they've developed and incorporated into their PLC professional development, which they call By Us, For Us. And that's being weaved throughout the school by assisting and educating each other. De Zavala has a focus on increasing academic achievement. And they're looking at the greatest impact for this goal will be their professional learning communities, and they meet weekly to discuss student growth, achievement, and they're using the data to plan rigorous instruction as well as small group instruction. So when they meet through their PLCs, they look at grade levels, positive behavior intervention, they focus on RTI so that they are very deliberate and collaborative in ensuring that every single student has the opportunity and the support to achieve exemplary academic success. Harlem is focusing on their PBIS initiative. They've created, and she calls them awesome posters, so y'all will have to go see those, to put all over the building with the specific expectations for each area. And their PBIS team is currently creating lessons, and these behaviors revolve around social as well as academic behaviors. Highlands has a focus on their PLCs, and they are analyzing student achievement data, planning effective instruction, and interventions that focus on increasing the rigor in the classrooms. Hopper has organized an incentive and recognition program which is aligned to your PBIS strategies, and they call that the I Noticed initiative, and this is recognizing students that display actions that are respectful, responsible, and safe. So anyone on the campus can notice any student. They fill out an I notice slip. They turn it into the office, and then the principal reads the slip during the morning announcements. So they give the student's name, what they were noticed doing, and for what, and then the teacher gives them their I got noticed sticker that they wear throughout the day. Lamar is focusing on parents, and so they're providing workshops on volunteering, technology, parent skills, and how to support the instructional program. So they have watchdogs, ESL parent classes, family literacy night, math science night, and health fairs. San Jacinto is focusing on PBIS. They have a regular reward opportunity for all students to receive rewards for good behavior, and they did an outstanding job on putting their manual together. Travis is piloting a STEM program with their third grade at-risk girls. And these are students who qualify as at-risk. They're nominated by their classroom teacher. They have a lottery system, and then these students get to meet with Exxon volunteers once a month after school to work on STEM units. This strategy is increasing leadership opportunities and instructional self-confidence for students while they collaborate with community members. And last, we have Victoria Walker, and they are implementing PAWS. They call that Peaceful, Aware, Wise, and Safe. And every class has a Walker PAWS page. They have it on a clipboard that they carry with them throughout the building. And when a staff member sees a class displaying these traits, they initial on their Walker PAWS page, and the class will turn that page in for a prize that they get to select from a prize menu once they've reached their goal. Those are just one of many initiatives that the principals and the district have worked on. We're very proud of the direction the campuses are going on, and if you have any questions at this point, I can certainly try and answer those.
I just wanted to mention, not that this really relates to you, but when these are posted, once they're approved, the Alamo link goes to Crockett, and the Highlands Elementary link goes to San Jacinto. Crockett and San Jacinto both link up correctly, but you might want to make sure we check that.
Thank you.
Any other questions from Dr. Duarte? Thank you, Dr. Duarte.
Thank you.
So kind of far here. Okay, moving on to agenda item 8, action items, consent agenda. Mr. O'Brien.
All right, I've got on the consideration of consent agenda, number 1, district and campus improvement plans, and were just presented to us. And I'd like to pull number 2 for technical difficulties. If we could withdraw that at this time. Number 3, class size waiver. Number 4, property tax foreclosure resales. Number 5, adopting a resolution that identifies adequate school funding as a priority, opposing any and all proposed legislation related to the provision of school choice vouchers, and repeal of the A through F labeling system.
Would anybody like to pull an individual item 1, 3, 4, or 5 from the consent agenda? Hearing nothing, I will entertain a motion at this time.
Make a motion to accept items 1, 3, 4, and 5 as presented.
I second the motion.
We have a motion from Mr. Poppy, a second from Ms. Coffey, to approve consent agenda items 1, 3, 4, and 5. Any discussion? Hearing none, please vote in the affirmative by raising your right hand. Any in the negative? That motion passes 7-4, 0 against. 8B, future board agenda items, board training and board meetings. Let's start number 1, future board agenda items. We'll tell you that because of some miscommunication on my part, we were not able to get the review of board goals on Wednesday night's workshop, so that's going to have to be looked at sometime in the near future as a board item, is revisiting 2015-16 board goals or updating them for 16-17. I know, Ms. Coffey, that's something you'd asked for, and I apologize that I didn't get it on the agenda early enough. When I noticed my mistake and I contacted Ms. Garcia, I'd missed our deadline.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Future board agenda items that you'd like to see placed on the agenda?
And the school start times.
I do have
Is that coming
I
up?
have note that is a future board agenda item. Start time for all levels or just high school?
Well, you might as well look at them all.
Okay.
I mean, you
All
don't
right.
have to change them
Okay.
all, but you might as well
Right.
look at them all.
All right.
Could we get a report by the end of the this semester on our reading levels, and have they changed any through each status of whether it's African American, white, Hispanic, whatever? Because we had gotten that once before a couple of years ago on the levels of reading from 1 through 12.
So, okay, Mr. Sampson, just for clarification, individual ethnic group reading
Right.
levels based on, do you remember what it was based on? Was it
Paper report, this is the academic performance report.
Yeah, I think it was academic, because we did it about 2 years ago, and it was showing reading
3
level.
years, it's usually a 3-year report.
Yeah, but
Okay.
not like the next board meeting, but,
You're just asking for that to be on a future superintendent's report?
right,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
For the November board meeting, I'd like us to look at the policy for admitting students to Impact Early College High School. I know that if we're going to make any changes at all, it needs to be done so that they can start with their process in December.
Okay. I would probably ask that we would have a superintendent's report on what is the admissions criteria. Would you like that just presented to each board member with the admissions practices, policies are at this point for us to read and then make individual recommendations? Who would you like to see the
Well, I would
recommendations
like
come
to
from?
see it, if there's I would like to see an action item on the next board agenda regarding possible changes to the way we admit students. We have some students at Impact, and it shows even in these campus improvement plans, we've got students there who really have a great deal of difficulty completing high school level work, much less college level work. And I think we need to reevaluate how we're admitting students to Impact. I don't think anyone should be there who is going to have a great disadvantage in what they're expected to achieve while they're there.
So, having never seen in the last 3 years what the admissions criteria is,
Well, maybe, Mr. O'Brien, you could send us all a copy of the current admissions criteria, and then, I mean, if it's the board's, if it's the administration's recommendation that we stay with what we have, then there wouldn't be a need for an action item. However, I feel as though there is a need for change. And so I think that certainly.
So this is all submitted to the state as a part of our designation. We submit admissions criteria and memorandum of understanding. So if we are looking at changing it, that's already been submitted for this year.
For this year.
So we wouldn't really be in a rush until the following school year.
Well, I guess the concern was when I attended, I happened to run into Dr. Sushan, and she mentioned to me that if we're going to make any changes, it needs to be done by December. So these changes, if we make them, would be for the
17, 18.
17, 18?
18-19 school year, right? Okay,
Because
so
we've already submitted
already submitted for this year, okay. So then there wouldn't have to be the rush, but I would still like to see us consider that then. So if you would, I guess at this point then, just send us what the admission requirements are, and then at some future time we can determine if a change can be made.
With that, Mr. Richard, I don't know if the discussion for extracurriculars concerning impact is on there.
That's on my notes, that for an action item on addressing that, and that is not, am I speaking right? The eligibility for extracurriculars is not part of the state plan. That is something that we can address and put into place if we choose to do that.
And students are recruited in January, so we would want
That's the
to
thing that would need immediate action.
prior to.
And I had that on my list of things to put as an action item for November as well as
Okay, thank
when
you.
you'd requested. Okay. So if it's all right with you, Ms. Coffey, we will get the report and then maybe look at a December or January to adjust. Now we're looking 2 years into the
Right,
future.
right.
Okay.
And then another concern that I have, and it doesn't have to be an action item, I guess I would just like a report from administration regarding our policy at Peter Highland. We've gotten membership reports several times, and I know it's been this way for a while. We have 0 ninth graders there and only 7 10th graders, and I really don't understand why Peter Highland doesn't typically admit 9th graders or very many 10th graders. And so if we could have some sort of a report, explaining that at least, because it seems as though it should be beneficial to all high school age students.
Okay. Would you, Ms. Coffey, do you think it would be good to see a longitudinal report, say, based over the last 3 years?
That would be fine,
Okay.
because I know it looks similar to that over the last 3 years.
And again, that would just be a report.
A report,
Okay.
and then we can consider
See
if we
if we want-
need to do something
Okay.
about that.
All right. Anything else? Okay, moving on to number 2, board trainings. We do have our workshop scheduled for Wednesday night, and we will, if it's okay, need to do we have, how do I ask this? Is everyone going to be here Wednesday night for 6:30 workshop? Do we have anyone not coming? Okay,
I'm not sure.
you're not
I
sure.
got class. I'm
Okay,
listening.
then we may not be able to do our photo.
Group shot. We want to take a group photo of the whole board.
Okay.
I'll know tomorrow. I'll just email Noemi.
Okay. If Mr. Poppy is able to be here at 6:30, we will take our group board picture. Okay? So it's Dress Up Wednesday before the workshop.
Mr. Martin one year couldn't be here for the board picture, and she photoshopped him in, so
Oh.
that might be a possibility. You might check with Carrie to see if that can happen.
Wow.
Very
I asked her if she
talented.
could just Photoshop our 7 mug shops in, and she didn't like that idea, so, okay, all right. All right.
This is their,
Any other board trainings
10:25.
coming up? I know we have a Gulf Coast Alliance of School Boards coming up, and I RSVP'd, and Ms. Coffey is RSVP'd to go to that if anyone else is interested in joining us.
What was that?
What night is that? November 2nd?
What was it?
Gulf Coast Association School Boards up at Region 4.
Oh,
Okay.
November the 2nd, a Wednesday.
having a meeting. Deer Park on Thursday. I'll be there.
That's, over at, Harris County.
Region 4.
Yeah.
Nothing like having a 6 o'clock meeting at Region 4.
Going 290.
Exactly.
Was on the original packet? Okay.
And it start, what time it start?
What time does that meeting start? The 6:30?
Gulf Coast.
In Gulf Coast, 6:30. Okay. We'll talk about carpooling.
About 4.
Go over there and camp out.
No, if it's not on here anymore. Okay. All right. Board, we have no personnel action this evening, and nothing really that fits closed session unless you would have something that you would like to go into closed session for this evening. We have no personnel actions on the agenda tonight.
I move that we adjourn if we are to that point.
Second.
We have a motion for Ms. Coffey and a second for Mr. Laredo to adjourn at this time. Do we have any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. We are adjourned at 7:26.